in the past struck the balance between not falling into everything's going to go wrong and I'm preparing for things to go wrong.
It's a matter of probability or confidence levels.
Okay.
In the event that you have something that you're like, this is a possibility, but it's a 1 in 10 chance, don't plan for it. If it's a 9 in 10 chance, plan for it.
Okay.
If it's a 7.5 in 10 chance, plan for it. Not a lot of time, but you plan for it. And the reason for that is so that you have if I'm seeing signs in my business that this problem is likely to occur, I can quickly pull it out. Again, there are some plans that you're going to think of that you may not tell your employees or your leadership team until it's absolutely necessary.
Yep.
That goes right back into financial stability. In your business, you typically have cash reserves so that you can withstand issues like low cash, but it's also having that cash reserve not only in the business but also outside the business. A cash cushion outside of the business that no one else can see, so that in the event that your leadership team takes a risk which you want them to do so your business can grow without your direct efforts, you can also save them in the event that they have to adapt to their problems, because it's not only a learning curve for you, it's a learning curve for them.
Yeah.
How often would you, and in the chat, what are some risks? As Tim was talking, he, 1 out of 10 versus 7 out of 10 probability. But what are some risks that you foresee if we're looking at a SWOT analysis?
Yeah.
I know that we kind of reevaluate our SWOT every 90 days. We have a cycle of 90 and 180, 90 and 180. It's kind of this look out but pull back, out but pull back. How often should a business between, let's say, 5 and 20 million be looking at that SWOT and evaluating what those risks are or the threats, and then identifying their weaknesses and where their strengths are?
I think of it this way. You should have set times when you're looking at it. So every 90 days, well, really, every week, every month, every 90 days, every year when you're annual planning. And the reason I say that is what you really, aside from having those regularly scheduled times you're looking at it at different levels on a week by week, I'll look at where are we at revenue wise, cash wise, any major problems. At a monthly level, same thing. At a quarterly, where are we in relation to our targets? And then on an annual, what did we do last year? What do we need to do to hit our targets this year? But also the other side of it is you have to look at it whenever is necessary, which means you have to understand, you have to have the visibility of the data. We talk about two things often: clarity and confidence. Clarity comes from seeing the data, knowing how your business is operating. Like a pilot has their instruments. A pilot knows in their book certain points in the flight, they will look at specific data points. But they also understand the instruments enough to know if this light goes on, I need to follow a certain process to identify what's happening there. So you both have your regularly scheduled recurring times you're looking at your data, looking at and evaluating your business, but also the signals that tell you need to look at this thing now.
Yeah.
And I think one of the best signals is actually your business cycle.
Okay.
So if it takes you 30 days to sell a client and 60 days to deliver a client and 30 days to collect cash, you have a 120-day business cycle. That means every 120 days your business is changing.
What's that equation again? I just want everybody, this is where you pull out a pen and paper unless you're driving.
So if it really depends on your business cycle. If it takes you 30 days, again, 1 month to attract and acquire a client, and then 2 months to service that client, now you're at a quarter. Now if it takes you even more time to collect all of the cash related to that acquisition and that delivery of the client, so now we're at 4 months. It means you have a business cycle of 4 months. So realistically, every 4 months, anytime you make a change in your business, you should see results.
Yeah.
Which means if you make a drastic change or you experience a drastic market shift, then you can change your business every 4 months. So sometimes, depending on the nature of your business, it makes sense to look at this analysis every 4 months, depending on your business cycle.
I'm just going to say this. I'm going to ask in the chat, make sure I can see it. How many of you guys are getting, you're getting value from this? Like this is hitting, and you're understanding the impact of these things. Give it a second. Asha says, always. We should be charging money for this. I'll say these guys give more value in this call than most coaching programs. Like, they're all fluff. And I hope what you hear is go back and watch some of the gurus on YouTube and social media talk about business, and even people who have $100 million plus companies. Listen to what they're talking about. Often it's a lot of mindset stuff, but where's the tactical, the wisdom in it? Like, you can hear if someone's applied these things. What we're talking about, we've applied in our own businesses, in all the businesses we've worked with, and this is from thousands of businesses that we have consulted, coached, trained, over 100 that we directly worked in. We're pulling this from, and I hope that you're hearing that, because what we're telling you is not to try to convince you to buy something. The whole point of this show is to give you a ton of value to help you move forward and make progress. And what we're talking about here is what we do with our clients every single day, is we help them understand how to think, not what to think, not just what to do, but how to think. Because if you change the way you think, it'll change the way you act. And we can give you a process, but the reality of business is there is no algorithm for business success. There is no single system for business success. There is no secret to business success. Business success, and we've seen this from startups to $100+ million companies, it's about the process of going through processes. It's about the constant evaluation and evolution. I like to think of business like a survival situation. Every time if you're in a survival situation, you ask the question, what's in me? Like, have you eaten? Do you have energy? Are you hydrated? What's on me? What tools, resources do you have? And what's around me? What in my environment can I utilize? Think of business the same way. You set a target. Okay, we're going to go to that peak so we can get visibility. You go there. When you get there, you reassess again. And then you set the next target. Something goes wrong, you have a process for that. Business is like survival. It's like survival. It's like a long-term race, one lap at a time. If you have a bad lap, great. Your success is not determined by what happens in that one quarter, that 1 month, that 1 year. It's the cumulative effect of your consistent action, and that requires that type of resilience. You can have 3 bad quarters, and then in the last quarter of the year, have a phenomenal quarter, and still outdo what you did the previous year.
Yeah. And so the final point on risk management and really financial stability, once you understand what your business cycle is, you can identify, okay, because my business cycle is 4 months, now I know that I need to maintain 4 months or 6 months worth of cash reserves. And again, that's really another key pillar of having resilience, whether on the personal side or on the business side, is if you have enough cash reserves in your business, you can withstand having a bad business cycle and be okay with it. Be able to have the business make mistakes and withstand them. Most businesses go out of business because they run out of cash. The banks no longer want to give you funds. Your investors or your equity investors or your debt investors no longer want to extend you credit because you're not being as adaptable as you once were, or you're not as relevant as you once were. And so because of that, having the cash reserves in your business allows you to experience 1 or 2 bad business cycles and survive. And ultimately, as the business leaders, having that cash gives you the chance of taking a risk and trying something else, whether a different revenue stream or a different process, and withstanding it. Now, most of our clients, when they're first working with us, that's one of the first things we try to establish, is having cash reserves, because it's paramount.
Wait, we work with clients and we try to put cash in their business?
Yeah, absolutely.
Not just take it out?
No.
That's crazy.
We're not getting paid for this?
No, not at all. No. Step 1.
We do. If you're working with us, you are paying us. We're putting more cash in your business. That's the goal.
Step 1 is increase the cash reserves, because then we can test and be a little bit more experimentative with what's going on in your processes, and we can identify how long can you survive if something goes wrong and we need to tweak it.
Here's what's interesting about what Tim's talking about, what you're saying with risk management. I think of the banks. If you guys have not watched, I have a playlist. I should actually put this out on social media or something. I have a playlist of movies that I watch when I need to be inspired or reminded of certain principles. I know a lot of people say in business, I don't watch movies. Well, I do, because there's a lot of good information out there. One of those is The Big Short with Christian Bale, Steve Carell's in that. Great movie. And it's about the 2008 market crash and how it happened. risk mitigation, risk management is about planning for when, not if, when things go wrong. If these things go wrong, if any one of them, we're prepared for it. So you manage risk, you mitigate risk by planning for the failures. In 2008 and the years leading up to that, watch the movie. It's a mind blowing. The banks, who's like, you had one job, plan for that. They didn't plan.
But that's
They
not
only
the
planned
bank's
for
job.
success.
That's not the bank's job. Not anymore.
Not anymore. But we see what happened when they were all taking the mindset of they're only planning for success. If we do this, we'll be successful. If we do this, we'll be successful. In your business, if you only plan for success, meaning you have a plan to hit your target. Well, do you have a plan for if you don't hit your target? Do you have a plan for if everything you are anticipating goes wrong? Murphy's Law. If something can go wrong, it will go wrong. I approach business like a martial artist. I train to fight. I train to hurt people when it's necessary.
Yeah.
But in training, the whole goal is that I never have to. And it's not about the fighting. It's about someone asked me one time, if someone got you in like they got your hand behind your back and had a knife to your throat, what would you do? My answer was I'd reevaluate my choices, because if I'm in that situation, it means I messed up a long time before that. You've got to think ahead to avoid those situations, but be prepared to handle it if it comes.
Now let's talk about why that's important. When you're planning just for success, you're committing to fixed costs. If you increase your fixed costs in your business, you have to have more cash reserves to cover those fixed costs.
Listen, this is what I mean when I say we're giving you the deeper stuff. Tim is saying, listen to what he's saying about fixed costs, because time and time again, I watch business owners and him have this conversation, and they completely miss this when they're planning for only for success.
Okay. So let's say you have $1 million business. You want to double your business. You want to grow by 100%. You're committing to salaries, right? If it costs you $1 million, again, we'll keep using $1 million as the sample. If it costs you $500,000 in payroll costs to do $1 million of revenue, well, by math logic, you'll likely spend $1 million to do $2 million. If all else equals the same, you don't put systems so your people are more efficient. What happens if you hire everyone, but you only do $1 million? You have absolutely no profit in the business, and you're actually most likely losing money because there are other costs that are related to hiring $500,000 worth of people. So when you're looking at risk management and financial stability, it's understanding that as closely as possible, we want to chase our revenue as much as we can with our fixed costs, ideally to the point where we're actually overworking our employees right before we hire people, so that we have enough margin in the revenue to cover their costs in the event there's a little bit of drop, particularly for your business cycles. Again, it's matching your business cycles. It all comes down to what is that cyclical nature of your business, and how can we tie that as much as possible with that break-even point or that fixed cost point so that you're stable. Because as soon as you increase your payroll costs or you increase your rent or other fixed costs in your business, if you drop below that, now you run the risk of having to let people go. And although that is the nature of business, it is something you never really want to go through unless you absolutely have to. It's often one of the reasons why in tech companies that happens all the time, because they're planning for astronomical growth in revenue cycles. And so they're hiring a ton of people, and they're not really tracking how efficient they are, because they know that they can just let people go, because payroll in the larger companies is one of the first places they go when they need to cut costs, because it is rather quickly, you can see the impact. I mean, it takes a couple weeks to let someone off, make the decision, and then figure out who.
Yep.
See,
Here's what I love about everything Tim is saying, and it highlights, again, why I'm committed to making consulting great again. If you listen to people on YouTube, there's some that are good. You listen to like Dave Ramsey's got his entre leadership.
Entree leadership.
Might have to rebrand that. The entree leadership, good, solid business advice. You listen to Kevin O'Leary's doing a lot of content, solid business advice. These people are legit. But you listen to a lot of these other gurus, and even the ones who have a lot of money, but they're talking to you about something that isn't how they got their money. You're going to hear a lot of what to do, and you'll even get some how to do. But go back to grade school: who, what, when, where, how, why. Am I forgetting any?
No.
I think I got them all. And there's an H in there. The 5 W's and an H. Real business, how? Real business success isn't just what to do or how to do it. It's also understanding the chess game that is the business strategy, when to do it. So you want to grow your business. Jeff commented, I accidentally did that last year. A lot of business owners, I have 5 salespeople and they're producing, let's say, $5 million or $5 million a year. 5 salespeople, $5 million a year. Basic math says that each one is producing $1 million. Well, that's not true. And if you're tracking the data, you'll see it. There's something called Price's Law. And it says that if you take the square root of those salespeople, and let's use 6 for easy numbers. It says that, let's use 9 because it's easy math. Square root of 9 is 3. 3 of those salespeople are producing half the revenue. So it's not as simple as dividing the revenue by the number of salespeople. So the question is, well, when do I hire more salespeople? And how many do I hire? This is why we look at the numbers and we look at the data, because it's not as simple as A equals B. Sometimes it's not 1 + 1 = 3. It's 1 + 1 equals, it depends.
Well, no, it's if you got 5 salespeople, then you're likely, again, an easier law rather than the square root is 80%. 20% of your revenue is coming, or 80% of your revenue is coming from 20% of the impact. We talked about that last episode. Again, going to that example, what we actually want to look at is adding 2 salespeople and removing 2 salespeople and see what's changing. Mm-hmm. Again, if 20% of your staff, that's 2 sales, so your top 2 guys are likely producing 80% of your revenue. Great. Let's look at the bottom 3. Let's keep 1. Get rid of the other 2 and put in 2 new players. That should change the entire dynamic of your sales team and make them more efficient.
Yeah.
You have the top 1 person training the bottom 2 that you just hired. From there, ideally, you'll have a lot more top earners.
Mm-hmm. And then going back to your comment about business cycle, if you hire a new salesperson, on average, it takes about 90 days for them to get up to speed. So that means if you have a 45-day sales cycle, it takes them 3 months to get to where they're even generating. And once they get some momentum, they get some solid leads, it'll take another 45 days to actually close something.
Yep.
So you're looking at a 5-month period where you can't just hire. You have to consider 5 months without producing anything more. This is what business strategy looks like. And it's not just the simple, well, I'll hire more salespeople.
Well, it's, again, kind of bring in the human side of this.
Yeah.
It's not about moving or cutting people in and out of your business. But think of it more on the chess side of it. But if I've created an environment where 40%, 2 of my 5 salespeople are not able to be successful in my environment,
it's why.
Yeah. And it goes back to, am I holding on to them because I don't want to get rid of them, or I don't want them to feel like they have failed? Or flip that on the other side of, if they're not able to be successful 80 hours every 2 weeks, what am I doing to them?
Yeah.
Release them, allow them to go somewhere where they can be successful. It's not a conversation of simply cut these because the utility of them has run out. It's, how am I leading people to achieve a better outcome than what they're getting right now? Whether that's better outcome from their previous experience or better outcome from their next opportunity. And I'm a big believer in allowing people to be in an environment where they can be successful. Sometimes that's not going to be here.
Yeah.
And those are hard conversations, very real, raw conversations. Yeah. We can give you the tools and the resources to have better conversations when they're hard. But at the same time, don't keep somebody just because you don't want to go through that hard conversation. Allow them the opportunity to have a professional outcome that is better than the one that you're able to produce for them. And sometimes it's us creating that culture, and sometimes it's them taking advantage of the culture.
Yeah.
And you have both sides. So I'm not saying that keep people unnecessarily or turn them away and fire them unnecessarily. but really look at the human element, and always as a business owner have the heart of an advocate for your people.
Yeah, and we're coming to the top of the hour, and so we want to wrap up. And we have so much more. Like every week, we know what the topic is. We bring notes to discuss, and it's unscripted, and you're going to get value regardless. But here's what I'll say to sum this up. Um, when you look at business, this is why I say make consulting great again. Because if you're working with, and there's some great people out there, but you're not going to find a solo business coach who is going to bring you all this level of knowledge. You could talk to Richard Branson, you could talk to Kevin O'Leary, and they're going to give you some, and then they're going to pull in their team.
Mm-hmm.
Because great business leaders who have resilience realize that resilience, part of that also is understanding you can't do it on your own. You cannot be resilient on your own. There is no person, not David Goggins, who runs 24 miles or whatever, is successful on their own. He was a Navy SEAL, you got to have a team. If you're on a sports team, you got to have a team. A race car, you got to have a team. So as a business owner, you have to ask the question, are you coming up against, are you struggling to be resilient because you're relying just on your own resilience? When I'm having a rough day, or there's a situation in business that I've kind of reached a point where mentally, emotionally, I'm like, okay, I'm not sure where to go from here. I have 3 other people that I can rely on. So the team as a whole brings that value. And when we talk to a client, no matter what they're struggling with, we can bring different aspects. Tim will talk about the numbers and the data. We're all people centric. I'll talk about shifting the business owner's mindset and try to help them see things differently. Kirk is really about people, so he's going to consider the people aspect. Heather is about systems and, okay, what's the impact of that? Resilience in your business means you have to have the right team around you, either build it internally, or our clients choose to work with us, and then we show them how to build that team internally so they're not just dependent on us. A lot of resilience is that. So if you're hitting a roadblock, if you are stuck, if your business is revenue up, revenue down, you're unable to break through that ceiling, whatever it is, you're reaching the capacity, or frankly, you're just freaking tired. Like as a business owner, you get to a point where you're just tired. You just don't want to do it anymore. Like this team re-energizes me, and in days when I'm just tired, you can lean on someone else. So, we want to invite you guys to. We'll be having another event soon, coming in a couple months. And I want we got Zach on the call, and Zach is he's our newest team member. He's our business development consultant, and he's going to be in the chat. We're going to be hosting our Scaling on Purpose Summit here in a couple months. That's going to be in March. The dates will come out for that soon, but that's where we go even deeper into things like how do you be resilient? What's the practical? You got a lot here, but we break down for you more systematically how you do that, give you resources so you can implement that. So if you're interested in that, drop a comment in the chat so Zach can see, and then he'll reach out to you, confirm your contact information so that we can get you the info for that. That's going to be in March, so get ahead of the curve and confirm your seat for that. But now I'm going to open it up. Like, do you guys have questions? Because we talked about a lot. I'll give you a question. Where's an area in your business where you're feeling that friction or that you need a little more resilience? Whatever it is, there's a lot of facets to business.
While we wait on that, I will say that if you have attended a Scaling on Purpose Summit in the past, to go back to our race car analogy, we've tuned it up and we've put a lot more horsepower behind it. And so if you have been in those summits before, I'd encourage you to lean in and realign. But I think it's an opportunity for us to continue to pour out value in a more meaningful, long form platform. So I'm excited about it. I'm excited about the whole calendar that we have coming up in 2025, whether that's events, whether it's this format, or the other things that we have planned with clients, with the community. It's really, really an exciting time to be a part of this All True movement.
Yeah, you're going to see things start to ramp up. Um, and John asked, say that again. So our Scaling on Purpose Summit in March. Drop a comment in the chat so Zach you can basically raise your hand. He can reach out to you and let you know how to get that information so that you can attend that and we can go deeper. It's a half day event. It's typically runs about 4 hours and we dive a little deeper because what we're looking to do is give you real things you can implement, actionable strategies and advice that you can take away right away. And here, I'll tell you a lot of people don't want to tell you the behind the scenes. There's always a bait and switch and there's a funnel and there's all this stuff. Here's our philosophy. It's real simple. This show is free. We're going to give you as much as we can on this show. You're going to implement whatever you can. And the reason for that is we know that if we actually help you for free, you might actually come to something that we put an investment on, like a Scaling on Purpose Summit. And then what we do there, we help you even more and give you even more value and to take to the next step. Our whole value ladder of our offers is designed to help you go from one step to the next, and implement at each stage what you can consume. So we're moving at the speed of what we know you as a business owner can consume. Some of our clients, most of our clients actually, they go straight into consulting with us and we get right to work. Other folks, depending on your revenue size, just where you're at in business, that doesn't make sense. But what does make sense is let's get your revenue up. Let's give you some strategies for that. Let's help you fortify and get some better systems and processes in place. Let's be here to support you. And if it's 6 months, if it's a year from now, you're ready to work with us at that level, well, guess what? We've been here with you the whole time. You just might trust us to help you at a whole different level. So we're going to give too much. We're going to give disproportionately, but it's a core value of ours, which is generosity and altruism. So it goes completely against all the internet strategies.
Asymmetrical outcomes was one of our first conversations.
Yeah. Asymmetrical outcomes. If you don't know what that means, it means for every 1 point of value we get, we want to be giving you 10. Because we will never run out of value to give. And the fact is, you won't be able to implement everything we say because you're running a business. You're implementing a little bit at a time and then come back and we remind you of what to implement. So if we can help you do that, we want to build that relationship. So drop a comment in the chat, reach out to us on social media. If you're not already, we're broadcasting this live on YouTube. So go to YouTube and search my name. It's on my YouTube channel, AJ Adams, and subscribe there so you can always catch the replay. This is where the replays will be posted on YouTube. So if you missed something, this is like a college course in business strategy. Go back and watch it. Take notes, leave comments, and let us know what questions you have, what else you want to know, you're struggling with. The point of these shows is not for us to just talk, but to give you what you need based on the challenges you're having. So with that, do we have specific questions or challenge that someone is dealing with right now around resilience?
And I got a question about your college comment.
What was my college comment? I don't think I said college is a scam on this call.
You didn't, but that's where I was going. Do we really want that to be the bar?
College? No. Right, for financial people, lawyers, your doctors, please go to college. Don't operate on me if you just watch a YouTube video.
Yeah, so let's use another gold standard because I don't know if we want college courses to be our goal.
I agree. Good point. Yeah. This is a master class. This is ninja level training. Is that good? This is Spartan level training.
No, ninjas are extinct.
Are they, or you just don't see them because they're ninjas?
Ooh, age-old question.
That's fair. Okay, well, your Spartan comment, the Spartans are extinct.
Yeah, the Spartans are extinct. They were a little too aggressive with it. All right. Well, we appreciate you guys. Last thing, we're on a mission to grow this weekly call. And by the end of the year, we want to see 100 people consistent on this call, business owners that we're able to impact and give value to. The reason being is we want to impact 10,000 business owners in 2025. Not just those who are paying us, but in general, giving value and being able to track that so we know that we're making an impact, because that's the whole point. It's not just about the income. It's really about the impact first. And if you impact people in a positive way that actually helps them, you will make the income. And that's our backwards approach. People first, and then we'll let the profit take care of itself. So invite someone, send out the link, businessbuildersweekly.com, and invite someone to join you next week on the show. And we'll be diving deep again. If there are specific things that you love to learn, drop us a comment on YouTube. Let us know that. Otherwise, have an amazing night, amazing week, and we'll see you on the next episode of Business Builders. We'll talk to you guys soon.